First, Adam showed us how he seasons his cutting board and not his steak, and today he's going to be showing us how he seasons his butter and not his steak. Be sure to check out my other content after seeing this video, and don't forget to give the video a like and a share. And now, let's get started.
I am hardly a grill master, but this easy summertime meal of grilled steak and vegetables, I've got this down to a science. The secret? Flavor the butter, not the steak.
It's going to be one of these videos. All right, well, I'll tell you guys a little later about compound butter and flavored butter. But after our first video of Adam seasoning the cutting board and not the steak, I don't know if I have a very good feeling about the rest of this video and where it's headed.
I'll start with maybe half a stick of softened butter. You can speed soften butter by putting it in the microwave on low power. Nuke it for 10 seconds, give it a quarter turn. Another 10 seconds, another quarter turn. You do that 3 or 4 times and it'll be nice and soft but not melted.
Now what Adam is saying and what he's doing is pretty true. Normally when we're in the kitchen and we have to soften butter, we either do one or two things. We either take the butter out way ahead of time, because we have big blocks of butter, so an hour, 2 hours ahead of time, and that's enough, or we have to nuke it, put it in the microwave. The thing is, normally we don't have a lot of time to just stand there for 20 seconds, turn the butter, stand there, turn the butter, stand there, turn the butter. So what do? We put it on for like a minute. We run back and forth while we're doing other things and check the butter every now and then. You have to be careful because you can overdo it and melt the butter, and split butter is not the same.
I'll chop up a few cloves of garlic. Also chop up a bunch of parsley or whatever herbs you want. The trick to easily chopping herbs is to bunch them up on themselves.
Herbs or herbs? The last time I checked, there's an H on the name. Now, I'm not trying to be facetious, so don't come at me. In America, normally, I don't know why, but for some reason, we do tend to pronounce some words more the French way instead of the English way.
Then you can just mow through them. Garlic and parsley go into the butter along with a ton of pepper and stir it all up. That's way more solid ingredients than people normally put in a compound butter. If you want more butter, go for it, but I'm mostly in this for the garlic.
Now, what is compound butter? Basically, compound butter is flavored butter. You can put basically whatever you want in the butter and flavor that and use that as kind of a sauce, a seasoning, that slowly melts after the food is already cooked. I used to make a chorizo butter in London. I used to have a lot of other types of compound butter as well, but the chorizo one was very tasty.
Now, that'll get better as it just sits around for a while, which is why I do it first. If you put it in the fridge, though, don't forget you'll need to soften it up again before you grill. Successful grilling is all about planning and having everything that you need right at hand.
Those little tomato plants look like they've seen better days, haven't they? They look a little dry, actually. My dad was English, so he was very big on having like a garden, and we always had tomatoes and everything else that you could think of. But with the tomatoes, you have to treat them a little careful, at least in the Northwest. Not all species of tomato really like certain environments.
Here is the undisputed champion of charcoal lighters, the chimney starter. Nothing else comes close. I use natural lump charcoal. It burns far hotter than reconstituted briquettes, and the flavor it gives is amazing.
The funny thing, I actually bought a Weber grill last year, more towards the end of summer, so I didn't have a lot of time to use it. This year I need to get it out. I need to barbecue a little bit. Maybe I'll make some steak videos. Who knows?
Fill it up most of the way. Then you need some kindling to get it going. Many things could work, but this never fails me. I take a cardboard paper towel tube, cut it in half, and then jam a paper towel inside each one. Put those on the lower grill grate and light them up. Nice, dry, thin material with plenty of air flowing around it. Perfect kindling.
This reminds me of a time a few years ago. I went over to a friend's house and there were some firefighters over there. And they were in charge of starting the grill. They arrived before me. They would try to get it going. It would go for a little bit. It would die out. They'd try again. It would die out. I would offer my help and they say, no, no, no. They have it under control. It took like a bloody hour for 2 firemen. They were Belgian firemen, not American firemen. But to start a fire, sometimes it's harder to actually put the fire out than it is to start it. And no offense to firemen. I have a lot of friends that are firemen, and my godfather was the fire chief in Glendale, Arizona, many, many, many years ago.
Make sure they're really burning before you layer the chimney starter on top. Give that 10 minutes and it will be a glowing tower of fiery doom. Back inside now for our last-minute prep. Zucchini is a perfect grilling vegetable. Shout out if you call it a courgette.
If anyone doesn't know, zucchini in England are called courgettes. The same thing with eggplant. They're called aubergine. We use the French word instead of the English word.
There is a secret special way to cut it, though. Get rid of the ends, cut it in half lengthwise, then into quarters. Then stand the quarter up on its side and cut off the triangular point. That's where the seeds are, and that's the part that always goes slimy when cooked. I just toss it.
A few things. Adam is right about this. Normally, we don't use the very center of the zucchini because it can go soft. But about the cutting skills, you need to be very careful with the knife. You can't hold the knife like this because there's a very good chance that you're going to cut your thumb off, all right? Just careful with cutting. The other thing, if the zucchini is not straight, it's a little difficult, so you may need to cut these in half or in smaller portions, depending on the size of the fruit that you get, because zucchini is actually a fruit, it's not a vegetable. The larger it is, normally the worse the center is going to be.
What we have left is a solid piece with uniform thickness that'll have a firm, crunchy texture when cooked, and that will lie flat on the grill grates. When I started doing this, it gave me a whole new appreciation for zucchini. I never liked that slimy core. 1 zucchini per person is probably fine. I'm going with 2 because I love vegetables and these are so easy and so good.
I love zucchini as well, and there's not just one species of zucchini. There are multiple different types. Since they're savory and not sweet, you can make pies out of them. You can make zucchini bread as well. I mean, my grandma had a good recipe for zucchini bread. And you can even make a nice quiche with zucchini.
All right, I put them into a big plastic bin, light and easy to carry out to the grill. Okay. Now, steaks for about 4 people. Couple of nice ribeyes, an inch thick at most. I think both very thick and very thin steaks are much more challenging to grill.
That, just so everyone knows, at least where I am, would be a good 50 euros right now, just that amount of meat.
Speaking of thick, here's one of those absurdly thick pieces of tenderloin that butchers always cut. You gotta be really good at temperature control to successfully grill a steak that thick, so I just cut it in half. There you go, 2 1-inch thick fillets. Lauren will want one of those. All steaks in the bin.
Put it in the container. Technically a bin, at least in England's the trash, unless you want to bin it.
Here's a metal baking tray where I will put all of my finished food. I'm gonna take a spoonful of my garlic butter and smear it onto the side where I will lay the freshly grilled steaks. That will flavor their undersides, and their residual heat will take the edge off of the garlic.
Why is Adam seasoning the tray? Like, you don't put the bloody garlic butter on the tray, smear it on the tray. Honestly, don't do it like this. It'll melt. It'll cover the bloody steak at the end.
Now, just a splash of oil goes on the zucchini. Looks like a lot, but that's a lot of zucchini. Lots of pepper, lots of salt. You could do lots of other seasonings too. I like a splash of some vinegar.
What?
I'll just toss that around and get everything.
Vinegar! Vinegar on the zucchini. This isn't a salad. You don't need to splash vinegar on the zucchini and white wine vinegar on top of it. I mean, come on, honestly. In the kitchen, you will be surprised at how much oil we actually use. Yeah, sometimes you do get some flames, but that's the fun of it, isn't it? You see the big boom.
Everything must be ready to drop onto the grill before it goes out that back door.
That garden looks like it's having a bad time. Look how dry it is. Adam needs to get some fertilizer in there and he needs to water the plants.
Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time. To that end, just the tiniest bit of oil goes on the steaks, just enough for a super light coating all around. I'll show you later what too much oil would do.
That's it. That's not enough oil to coat the steak. We pour vinegar on the zucchini. We don't pour enough oil on the steak. Come on. Honestly, if they're a little too oily, you just drain it off. It's not a big deal.
Enough salt and pepper to cover all the steaks. If you were definitely going to use my board sauce method, there wouldn't be much purpose in seasoning these now, but seasoning immediately before cooking does give you the option of serving the steaks whole with a nice crust.
And you also don't get that nice plastic flavor because keep in mind, when you decide to season the plastic cutting board and you're scraping the plastic, right? Yeah, back and forth with the knife, you're really like seasoning the board. When you put the steak on the board, you cut it up and then you mix it all together, you're gonna be getting plastics and not microplastics. You're gonna be getting shavings of plastic. So you need to be careful with this.
Just toss those around in the seasoning, everything goes outside, and uh-oh, shooting the video slowed down my prep and my charcoal burned down a lot. Guess I was inside for about 25 minutes. I'm gonna layer on a bunch of fresh charcoal to compensate. I would normally layer on about half this many fresh chunks at this stage. No problem, they'll still light right up. Grill grate goes on, and yeah, that's pretty yucky from my previous grill session. No problem, you just let it heat for a couple of minutes, and then you can scrape it clean with a wire brush.
One quick tip for anybody that's new to grilling as well, I do not recommend grilling with flip-flops, because if a barbecue, even the Weber, if it tips over towards you and you have shorts on and flip-flops on, what's going to happen? If you're brand new to grilling, get some jeans or at least a long apron that protects you a little bit, and wear shoes.
And you want to give that grate a couple of minutes to get hot anyway, otherwise the steaks are more likely to stick to them. Okay, the ribeyes are bigger, they'll take longer, so they go on first. If you don't hear sizzle, your grill's not hot enough yet. Now, see that flame licking that one steak a little bit? You want to avoid that. Direct flame char on meat tastes burned, and more significantly, it can be carcinogenic.
This is true, burnt food can increase carcinogens, but it's not just with an open flame, it can also be in a pan. If you burn it to where it's like charcoal, it's going to have the same results. So the best thing is to get a nice golden brown color on it, unless of course you like it. Some people like this flavor.
One solution is to use your tongs to rotate the grill grate to get the meat away from the flame. After 2 or 3 minutes, they're looking ready to flip. Under ideal circumstances, they won't stick when you're ready to flip, but if they do seem like they might, you can take a metal spatula and just scrape it underneath to release. Then they'll flip right over and you won't lose any precious crust bits that would have stuck to the bars.
This is a good little tip, but there's also another one. If the steak is not ready to release, it's not ready, so you don't want to force it. Now, if it's starting to burn and you really do need to take it off, then obviously you need to take it off to make sure it doesn't burn, because you don't want to burn your steak.
Now, you might like a darker crust on yours. For what it's worth, when I grill my steaks as dark as I would get them in the pan, they tend to taste a little burned to me. I have learned through experience to be more conservative with the color when I grill.
Now, this is true. It can taste a little more burnt because you have that charcoal flavor. Also, if you use other types of wood like apple, cherry, whatever you want to flavor what you're grilling, this will add a lot of flavor to your food as well. So a little tip.
Oh, by the way, for safety purposes, after you've flipped the still raw meat, just hold your tongs down into the fire for a second. That'll definitely kill any germs on there.
Right, now Adam isn't wrong with this. Yeah, you can do this. The big deal though is to not use the same plate that you use to put the steaks on the grill when you take them off.
Now this is where it really pays to have practiced cooking steak enough that you can judge doneness by feel. A lot of the visual cues that I would normally look for when cooking inside just don't look the same out here on the grill. And because the temperatures are so extreme, I find it really hard to get an accurate thermometer reading. So I'm just poking. Medium rare is soft, but it bounces back at you. Rare is squishy.
If it's too hot because you're going to be getting readings from the actual fire, take the steak off, put the thermometer in it and check it away from the heat source. So that way you don't get a mixed reading. And if it tells you it's done, great. If it's not, put it back on. That's going to be more accurate than somebody, the average Joe, who doesn't cook steak every weekend and doesn't know the difference between the different measurements when you touch the hand.
It's been 3 minutes since I flipped them. They're almost done, so it's time for the garlic butter. Smear a big spoonful onto each one. Okay. Now, if we had put that garlic directly on the steak, it would have burned black by now. The butter is a really effective, convenient way of delivering a ton of flavor right at the end, so it only gets the minute of cooking that it needs. Now check this out. See those crazy flame ups I'm getting? That's what would have been happening this whole entire time if we had put too much oil on the steaks. Fat is fuel. It's biodiesel. It bursts right into flames when it hits the coals. Another reason to put the butter on at the very end.
If you don't put big chunks of garlic in your compound butter and you dice the garlic up very small, you could even blanch it and take away that bite. You can put it on the steak as soon as you serve it when it's hot and it melts on your plate. It's lovely.
Off they come onto the tray that we smeared with more garlic butter. We'll let those rest while we dump on the whole bucket of zucchini. Those nice big pieces are so easy to handle on the grill.
Also, when doing this, you need to be careful that the zucchini is not going to fall through the grill. You need to make sure that you put it like this, yeah? And not like this.
I'll just arrange them so they're cut side down and perpendicular to the grill grates. The cut side's brown better than the skin. Man, those are pretty. After they've been on for 2 or 3 minutes and they've gotten nice grill marks, I just slosh them around to give the skin side some cooking time, but not much. When they're just kind of floppy like that, they're not done, but they will be done by the time you pull them off, cut them up, and eat them.
The thing is with zucchini is that you want them to where they're al dente. You don't want them raw and you don't want them overcooked. You can easily overcook zucchini, but it takes a little bit of time. It really does. So if you put them on the grill and you cook them for a while, it is the better thing to cook them after the steak because they will cook a little faster.
I want to make sure that they're crunchy and not slimy. Off they come to the other side of the tray where they will mingle with the meat juices and the melted garlic butter. Yum. We're done. Back inside. Now, people could just grab a steak and a few zucchini pieces and cut them up on their own plates.
Don't tell me that we're going to be doing the cutting board thing again where we're mixing all the plastic in with the cutting board. This isn't good. You don't want to be doing that.
I like to pre-slice everything. Here is my surprisingly controversial method for carving ribeye. I just peel that delicious cap muscle off the not quite as delicious eye muscle, and that allows me to shave off the big bits of unrendered fat that live between them.
Now this, I agree with Adam. I don't like fat in my steak. I really don't. This is why I prefer beef tenderloin because it's super lean. There's no tendons to really worry about if you cleaned it properly, and it's all muscle. This is what I want.
Not a big fan of big blubber hunks, and I'm hardly alone in that. With those bits out, I can just chop it all up into bite-sized chunks. Same deal with the fillets. Depending on where they were cut from, tenderloin steaks can actually have a lot of gristle running through them. Lauren doesn't like that, so pre-cutting the meat allows me to get in there and trim out all of the stuff that she won't eat anyway. Pieces all go back on the tray along with any of the precious board juices. Then the zucchinis. If they're all lined up like that, it's really easy to just hack them into bite-sized bits. Back onto the tray, and I turn on the burners under the tray to their lowest settings. That'll keep all of this food warm indefinitely.
This is a good little tip. If you have a burner that you can do this, it can. But you need to keep an eye on it because you can actually overcook the food that you tried so hard not to overcook.
Now I'll just toss all the pieces in their own juices and the melted garlic butter. Each piece is just soaked in summery, smoky, buttery, garlicky deliciousness. Out onto the plate it comes. I would squeeze a little bit of lemon over all of that.
Lemon?
And no, it does not look fancy,
Lemon?
all chopped up like that. If that matters to you, then, don't do it. But in this form, you can just take a plate and a fork out onto the front porch. You can stand around and maybe light some more things on fire while you eat. Happy Independence Day to my American viewers, and to my British viewers, I say courgette.
Adam did a really good job with that video and the steak, even though with some things I don't agree with him on. But if you guys ever want to make compound butter, like a different type of flavor or anything else, experiment. If you want to put truffle, if you want to put chorizo, if you want to put thyme, tarragon, whatever flavor you want to try it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Until then, take care.